poetry hasn't always been my thing. Then I spent a year and a half reading slush for an online Americana magazine, and I started attending my local writers' open mic night. I've learned what types of poetry I don't like and what types I actually do. With that in mind, I've started looking for poets to actually look up. Welcome back to Morgan's Writing Tips and Writerly Musings, with tips from the pros and, of course, my own writerly musings. I'm your host, Morgan Hazelwood, and today I'm here with Black Speculative Poetry. These are notes from the titular panel at WorldCon 80, otherwise known as ShyCon 8. The panelists were as follows: Cherie Renee Thomas, Brandon O'Brien, and Therese Mason Pierre as moderator. So, why Black speculative poetry? Well, it's an umbrella term for voices, stories, and histories. By giving the subgenre its own categorization, it gives it shelf space. It helps those within the community connect, and it shows Black writers where their work may fit into the collective community. Simply adding a robot or a speculative element to a regular poem doesn't really take full advantage of the speculative genre. You need to build worlds or bring a new take to the familiar. To be good Black speculative poetry, you need to be both good at the speculative element, but also bring in something unique from the Black experience. Obviously, Black speculative poetry isn't something I'm qualified to write, but that doesn't mean I can't read and appreciate it. Some poets explore how much greater the Black experience might have been without the context they find themselves living in. Others explore the concept of otherness, or who really is the monster. There is a tradition called griot for any class of musician entertainers of West Africa to include tribal histories and genealogies in their performances, which sometimes gets translated into Black speculative poetry. By having a separate space for specifically Black speculative works, it sets up a cultural expectation. But even within the broader umbrella, everyone brings different experiences and contexts to the medium. Cherie Renee Thomas shared a story about entering a horror contest, and she didn't find the winner's tale of experienced racism scary. But because of a shared experience, her mother had creeping chills from the same story. Context matters. Who gets to describe what is real and what is speculative? So, the panelists discussed ways they incorporate their cultures and experiences in their works. Some of those include their burial rites, hoodoo, non hierarchical stories without a middleman, experiences that simply shake the traditional narrative, twisting language based on having a different mother tongue, incorporating folklore and the ways that historical fears were incorporated into the tales, exploring ways in which violence is acceptable and ways in which violence is not, exploring what is real, integrating racism, and prioritizing stories over themes, but embracing the themes that emerge. So, what are these themes that resonate for the panelists? Well, some of them include futurism, that which complicates the idea of body, experiencing time in a different way, ways society elevates and pulls down, those that thwart expectations, plays on language, alternate history or timelines, when a meter or form of poetry is followed or broken to good effect, and also persona poetry. Of course, any discussion would be incomplete without poet recommendations. Obviously, FIYAH Magazine, FIYAH, Lucille Clifton, Alice Walker, Toni Cade Bambara, the novel The Future of Black Afrofuturism, Black Comics, and Superhero Poetry, one title. Lupe Fiasco, the singer of Alan Forever. Danez Smith, Yona Harvey, Tyehimba Jess, and Keith S. Wilson were a few of the many poets that were named. I did not manage to catch them all, so if you were at the panel, please add some more names in the comments below so I can follow up. Poetry, as the panelists said, can be a character study, a metaphor stretched, or that one perfect bite of food when you taste a moment in time. Do you have any Black speculative poets you'd like to recommend? Please put them in the comments below, and I'll see you again next week for more writing tips and writerly musings. Bye bye.